All right, welcome guys. So today's topic is actually going to be Stack, okay, which is also one of the data structures that we're also taking a look at in Python, okay. So I want to create, let me close out a few of these things first of all, so that I can actually create a new file right now. And I want to just basically right click right here and then go to the new file and then create a new file. So let's just go ahead and just call this stack, okay, or stacks, whatever. So let me just basically call that stack, and then that it kind of opens up. So first of all, I want to give you the definition of a stack. So every time we talk about stack, we are basically talking about a linear data structure that follows the last in, first out principle. And what that means is that the last item that goes into a stack, we kind of go out first, okay? So the elements are actually added and then removed from the same end. So this is basically referred to as the top of the stack. So it uses a method that is actually called append and to push onto the onto the stack, and then we can also use something like pop to remove an item from it, okay. So that's just the two methods that can actually be used on this, and I want to give you guys an example of how this basically works, okay. So we use append to push an item onto the stack, and then we use something like pop to remove an item. So let's perform an example or do an example right here, okay. So I want to first of all put a comment right here and just say this is going to be, let's call this stack implementation using list. And of course, I'm going to basically use list to kind of implement this, okay. So for that, what we basically need to do is to first of all declare a list, okay, and I'm going to set that to, it's just basically going to be an empty list. So this is going to be stack like that, and we can go ahead and set that to this square bracket right here, which basically means empty list right there. Okay, so that's just what that is. So now here, what we basically want to do is really very simple. If we want to push an item onto this particular thing right here, because for instance, if we try to, let's say we print this particular variable out right now, this list right here, if we just do something like stack, now we'll save the changes. Then if I right click on this right now and then try to print this, you see that we'll have empty. Okay, we do not have any elements right here. Okay, but what if we basically want to add some items to it? And that's what brings in that method that I just mentioned called append. Okay, so let me just put a comment right here and just say something like push. Let's say push elements onto the stack. Okay, so if you want to push elements onto the stack, this is what you want to do. At first, you want to reference to the stack variable up there, and we're going to do dot append, okay, which is a method in Python. And what we basically want to do is really very simple. Let's say we want to push an item that is actually going to be called something like, let's say it's item 1. So I'm going to just do item, and we're going to just do 1 right there. Okay, we're going to first of all push this onto this stack right here. Okay, so for instance, if we save the changes right now, and remember that we're printing out the stack down here. So let's run this code right now. You're going to see that we have item 1 in the list right here. You see that? So this is basically your stack right here. So you can, let's put something like, let's say this is stack, call that stack list, okay. So something like that. We'll save the changes and let's run that again. So it looks a little bit more readable right now. So at first we'll have just pushed one item onto the stack right here. Okay, it was empty before now, but we have just basically pushed one onto it. Let's say we'll push another one. I'm going to copy this right now and then paste that on the next line, and let's call this item 2, and let's also push another one and let's call that item 3. Okay, so you can continue pushing onto that if you want to. If you want to push like 7, you can actually do that, but I'm going to basically stop right here, and let's say we'll run this again. And if you take a look in here, you now see that the stack list is actually growing. We have item 1, we have item 2, and then item 3 right there. So this is just basically how you can actually make use of the method to actually push an item onto the stack, which is basically empty right here. Okay, so that's just that. Then at the same time, we also have a way that we can actually kind of pop an item or remove an item from the list. Okay, and then we'll use a method that is actually called a pop to be able to do that. And I want us to kind of do that down here. So I'm going to just let me put a comment right here. Let's say pop. I want to just say pop or remove an element or item, whatever you want to call that. Okay. So to do it is really very simple. We are going to basically make use of the pop method to be able to do that. And if you want to do that, it's really very simple. So if I do stack right here, and then we'll do dot pop. Okay. Remember, it's basically a method. Okay. And with this line, this single line alone, if you go ahead and then run the code right now, you're going to notice that it's going to basically pop one of the elements out. Okay, it's going to basically pop one of the elements. And then remember that when we talked about, or we defined the stack right here, we say something like it use a LIFO, that is last in first out. Okay, so the third one was basically the last thing that it kind of came into the stack, and if you can see that from that right down here. Okay, so if you try to implement or run this particular code right here, and then we'll print the result out, you're going to notice that the third one right here, which is the last item, is actually going to get deleted from the list of the stack that we have right here. So basically we're going to just basically have only these two. So that's what they mean by last in first out. Okay, so that's LIFO for you guys. Okay, so if we save the changes right now, and then let's try to run the code, and then if you take a look at in here, you see that what we now have right now is item 1 and item 2. So that means that the third one right here has been removed. You see how that works? So last in first out. So the last one that just came in has been removed with this particular method right here. Okay, so that's just what that is. All right, so that's just basically what remains in there. But for instance, some people may like basically want to see the item that a kind of a got popped. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, if I copy this right now, if you want to see the item that you just popped, I want to just basically maybe just before the item that is actually remaining right here, we can copy and paste that, and we can just say popped item. Let's just do popped item. You want to see the item you just popped away. So instead of making use of stack right here, what we basically want to do is just do stack.pop. Okay, so I'm going to just do start.pop like that, and it's just because it's a method, so we're going to pass in the what is it called, the parentheses right there. Okay, so with this line, if you run the code right now, you're going to see the item that you just popped out of the system. Okay, however, if I go ahead and run this code again, you're going to notice that this one has already been popped. I think that the next thing that is actually going to happen is that this one is also going to get popped. Okay, so we're basically going to see I don't know if I haven't actually tried this before, whether we're going to see the two items that have been popped or the latest item that's just got popped. Okay, but let's just try that. I want to go ahead and run, and then if you take a look in there, okay, so it prints the latest item that just got popped. Okay, so if you take a look at that, so this is the latest item that just got popped out of the system, and that's why we have that right here. It says popped item, and then the list, what is actually remaining right here is only item 1, which is the first thing in here. Okay, so that's just the remaining item right there. Okay, so we could have just said something like remaining stack lists. Let's just do remaining stack list like that, and then it's only one that is actually remaining right here. So if I run the code again, we're going to notice that it's also going to pop the last one right here, and then the list is basically going to become empty. So I don't know whether you guys are really getting this, but if you are not actually getting that, you can just go to the comment section and then ask a question. Okay, but I believe I'm just doing justice to the explanation. Okay, so this one is the items, the latest item getting popped, and this line will kind of print the remaining list. Okay, the item that haven't actually been popped. So if I try to run the code again right now, this particular list is actually going to become empty. Okay, the remaining items is going to become empty, and you are going to notice that another item that I just got popped. Okay, so you notice that the remaining stack right here says number 1, and I actually thought that's actually going to pop the next item. Okay, maybe we'll need to let me try to run again. Okay, so I think it has already got into the all right. So for some reasons, if you try to maybe pop the remaining item that is on the list right there, it does not actually accept that popping right there. But then when I kind of try to pop that on a new line, it's a kind of popped the item right here. That's what we'll have. Item 1 popped right there, and then we'll now have the remaining list to be basically empty right here. Okay, so I believe that you guys are kind of following what I'm actually explaining or trying to let you guys know. Okay, but that's just basically how you can actually work with stack. Okay, so last in first out. Okay, so if this one came in first and this one came in last, and it means that the first one that is actually going to go out of the system is actually going to be the last item. Okay, so just like an example is if you wash a good number of plates and then stack them together. If you want to take a particular plate, you start from the top, right? Just take from the top, take the last one that you kept on there, and if maybe you want to serve some people some food, you are not going to just start drawing from the middle or trying to draw from the ground, because the stack is actually going to fall. Okay, so you just take from the top. Okay, so basically this is the last item that has been added, or the last plate that has been added in the stack of plates, so you picked from the top. That's just basically what that is, guys. So, and I hope you like that. And if you did like that, just try to give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to share the video. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, just feel free to subscribe because we'll be bringing you quite a lot of great videos of this nature. So feel free to follow us and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.